Mone, Athman boy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? That's me, Athman. I was born in Trivandrum, Kerala on the 22nd of May 2005, and I'd say I had a pretty unusual childhood. I am turning 20 tomorrow, and it feels like a pretty big moment because it's not just another birthday, it's the end of my teenage years, and I'm celebrating it alone this time, away from my family and friends. But that's simply because I'm in a university abroad. I decided to make this video because last year when I started journaling the day I turned 19. So when I started journaling, something shifted in me. The habit of writing, reflecting, helped me grow more than I expected. Over time, I realized I didn't just like documenting stuff, but I also liked the whole idea of reflecting that came with it. Well, initially, I started journaling to document my life, and then eventually, I started making videos, creating content, and sharing pieces of my life. So, reflecting through these mediums helped me understand myself just a bit better. So, today being the last day as a 19-year-old, or as a teenager, I want to share some of the highlights of this one past year and some of the most important lessons that I've learned by this stage of my life. Additionally, I also want to share some of the realizations that I've had, some very interesting realizations that I've had after I came to Australia, especially this one past month. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Wait, actually, before we begin with the video, I actually want to show a room tour to my future self, just in case, if I've forgotten where I used to live as a first year college student. So yeah, this is my room. Some clothes, some cardboard boxes from Amazon, still got the shoes, Vans from day one. And then there's this semester planner which I got during the market day, I guess. I just planned out the whole semester, important dates, exam dates. It's my bed, nothing interesting, dirty laundry. And yeah, this is my table. So I have my watch here, which I'm using to mirror, and I've got some sticky notes, to-do lists, and then some important messages over here, important codes or whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's really like nothing interesting. Yeah, so now you guys can enjoy the video. When I look back at this past year, it feels like a movie which I didn't know I existed in, and a movie made up of scenes I didn't realize were the last until they were over. The final few days of high school came and went quicker than anyone expected. The halls and pathways I walked every day, it suddenly felt heavier. We were all trying to hold on to something we knew we'd soon have to let go of. And graduation came like a blur. The speeches, the laughter, the hugs, the countless pictures taken. And just like that, it was done. Those last days in hostel with the boys, those were some of the best and most bittersweet moments. Late night and early morning study sessions, trying to study while cracking jokes between chapters. We held each other accountable, but never missed the chance to laugh over the smallest things or the stupidest dramas. And then there's sneaking in food without the warden finding out, whispering, hiding wrappers, and trying not to laugh. But every bite of the food we enjoyed felt like we got away with something bigger than it actually was. Even with the pressure of final exams hanging over us, we found a way to make it fun, pretending just for a little longer that time wasn't running out. And then we had prom. Well, it wasn't exactly amazing, it was whatever. But to me, it wasn't really about the event. It was about us, my friend group, all of us in fancy suits, making jokes like it wasn't the last day. Because right after was the boys' trip. Our last boys' trip together felt like freedom and heartbreak at the same time. We were just kids one more time before life started pulling us in different directions. And then came the breakup in silence. I mean, it is what it is, life just goes on, I guess. But anyways, about a month after school ended, I got myself a bike. Riding this 400cc gave me this insane adrenaline rush I had never felt before. It was my first bike. I'd go on these solo rides far from everything and everyone just to escape, clear my head, and find a sense of peace in the chaos, I guess. I used to go to this beach far away from my house just to watch sunsets. But yeah, after school is what I call the transition phase. School was over, but the next chapter had not begun. I was back home waiting for my 12th grade results, preparing my applications to Australia. But I wasn't 100% sure if I'd get in. Everything felt uncertain. Australia was still just a blur in my mind, but a constant thought. During this phase is when I discovered my interest for making videos, documenting, creating content, and I started exploring that slowly. And I also got the opportunity to voluntarily help one of my friend's friend who had a production company of their own. So he was kind of like a mentor to me with the whole camera stuff, I guess. Oh, also another thing I forgot to mention, I did yoga. I did a yoga course and became a certified yoga instructor for beginners. My dad's the one who advised me to do that. But I did it because why not, keep exploring new things. I had enough time back then. Yeah, and then one day I got accepted to the University of Queensland here in Brisbane and everything was confirmed. That's when it hit me, like, damn, I'm really leaving. So I started visiting the people who mattered the most, my closest friends, family, and the teachers who helped shape me. I didn't know how to say goodbye properly to these teachers, so it was more like, hey, this is where I am in life and I'll be back to update you. And thank you for being in my life and shaping me. Yeah, I held on to those moments and kept reminiscing about my early years of school life. At the airport, I didn't really know what to feel. I had just spent the last few days making memories with my friends and just living in that moment. At the airport, saying goodbye to my dad, my grandma, my friends, it stirred up emotions I hadn't prepared for. It was this strange mix of the unknown good and bad, all at once. But it was the thought of not knowing when is the next time I'll see them again. And all the good and bad experiences that shaped me until that moment, that thought is what quietly hit me. On the flight, staring out the window above the clouds, I knew I was about to walk into the unknown. But there was no fear. I felt prepared. I felt ready for whatever was to come. I had this deep belief that I was going to transform my life completely in this new chapter, the next few years of my life. I was just unsure how exactly, but I was very confident. It was more like, I know I will. And then I arrived in Brisbane, Australia. My initial days, the first few weeks, were full of excitement. I was thrilled at the thought of making new friends, exploring a new country, and starting a whole new life. I thought it was going to be fun, easy, and full of people, but reality felt different. I found myself trying to fit in with groups where I didn't belong. I kept getting this strong feeling deep down that this isn't me. The conversations, the energy, the vibe, I simply couldn't connect. I realized I was forcing something that just didn't feel right. Slowly, I stopped chasing. I realized I didn't want to jump into random friend groups or associate myself with those of completely different, if not opposite values. I stopped trying to belong where I didn't feel like myself. And that's when my, what I call the solitude phase, truly began. For the first time in my life, I had no one around me. I was literally alone. No friends, no familiar faces, just me in a new country trying to figure it all out from scratch. That space, that silence, it gave me time to think, to reflect, to ask myself who I really am. I don't have all the answers yet, but I'll tell you what, for the first time, I started listening and I came to so many positive realizations. And it gave me a sense of purposefulness and meaning, and everything slowly started to make sense. So before we begin with the lessons, I want to break down how I'm going to be explaining these three lessons to you guys. So for the first lesson, there is 4 different parts to it. So it's 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 and 1.4. And the reason for these 4 parts is because I just feel like there's a huge linkage between these 4 parts, and I want to use the same example because almost all of them are conveying somewhat the same message, I guess. But yeah, it's mainly because there's a huge linkage. And then after lesson 1 there's lesson 2, and then for lesson 3 I still haven't figured out how I'm going to explain lesson 3 or the whole idea / realization. Maybe I'll draw a diagram or something to convey the message or present it to you guys. But yeah, I mean, it's not too complicated. All the lessons are pretty straightforward. It's just lessons that hit me on a deeper level. So when I was younger, around my mid-teenage years, I thought I wanted to be a musician or a rapper or something. So what I did is I started practicing guitar, practicing songwriting, whatever. But eventually, I gave up. I quit. I couldn't figure out why, because I was pushing at it. I gave everything. I wasn't really lazy. I was constantly practicing, putting myself out there. But I just simply felt burnout, and I just started losing interest, and I couldn't figure out why this was happening. But as I grew older, I realized that what I actually enjoyed is the part where I get to perform on stage, have this huge audience in front of me, and the part where I look like a rock star or whatever. So that's what I actually enjoyed, not the part where I have to get there. So I didn't quite enjoy the process, I didn't really enjoy practicing the notes, practicing new chords, all that stuff, at least not in that stage of my life. So what I realized is, if you're gonna enjoy the process of whatever you're doing, then the result is not gonna be worth it. You won't feel fulfilled. So yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like practicing guitar, practicing new notes. None of that was fulfilling. So that is why I gave up. Another thing that I also realized is, if you truly enjoy the process, then the result is inevitable, because during the process is where you actually feel fulfilled, not the result, because the end result or whatever you feel in the end, that's just gonna be temporary. After some time, that's gonna be your normal. Whatever you're feeling, it's gonna feel like the normal. So I feel like it's the whole process of getting there what matters. So yeah, enjoy the process and not the result. I'm gonna go for a walk now. I just finished breakfast a while ago and completed some work. I usually go for a walk unless I have class in the morning. Today I only have class in the afternoon, so yeah. I think I'm gonna go for a longer walk today. When I was younger, again like my teenage years, I used to stress about having everything figured out in my life. So I needed this 5-10 year plan in detail about what my life is gonna look like, and I used to just get burned out when I don't have any answers. But as I got older, what I realized is that you don't have to have everything figured out, All you gotta do is just take action. And by that what I mean is, if you have the smallest spark or smallest pull towards something, you gotta take action. Go explore and see for yourself if that is what you like and enjoy. Because even if you don't have everything figured out, you will figure it out in the process, but you have to be in the process, you know what I mean? So a good example is the music thing. I had a pull towards music, so I took action on it, you know what I mean? So because I took action on it, even though I didn't reach anywhere, because I took action on it, I realized, okay, this is not my thing. And in the future, I won't have to look back and, I wish I did something about music when I was younger. So yeah, I have no regret. So as long as you're in the process and you take action, then you are exactly where you need to be. So yeah. Okay, so the next one's a bit confusing. So consistency over perfection, right? So I know it sounds pretty simple, but what it actually means is, it's pretty straightforward, but it basically means that if you wait for the perfect time, you will really reach nowhere. So even the smallest effort that you put in every day for yourself or on a regular basis will compound over time, which is why keeping the momentum going is very important. Now, I can give a good example of this. Let's say you're going to the gym, right? If you show up to the gym only on the days when you feel like you can perform at your best, then nothing's really compounding, You'll only show up for yourself once in a while. But if you show up on a regular basis, even when you're tired, even the smallest effort you put can compound over time. You don't show up for yourself on a regular basis, I don't think anything is really compounding. So yeah, that's one thing that I've learned. But another thing that I also want to mention is that sometimes over time you can lose interest, just like how I lost interest for music. But then it's important that you don't mistake this for laziness. Yeah, so lack of genuine fulfillment is not the same as laziness. So show up for yourself on a consistent basis. That's how you know if you truly find it fulfilling. Okay, I think I walked enough for today. I'm gonna go back to my room now. I have a class in the afternoon as well, so I gotta finish this video today itself. So for the final part of the first lesson, expectations can ruin your happiness. This is something I came to understand pretty late actually. So I believe expectations can determine your happiness, at least to a pretty good extent. So when I was in high school, I used to have these expectations for my friendship, my social life, and my studies. And when reality didn't match with my expectations, I used to just feel so disappointed and bothered. But here's the thing, in reality, nothing was actually that bad. My friendship was just fine, my social life was just fine, and my studies were going just fine. So here's what I realized about the danger of expectations. So expectations can blind you to the present. As in, expectations make you focus on things that are missing rather than things that are actually present and meaningful. But there's also another thing that I learned. Not all expectations are bad. So if your expectations come from a place of deep self-belief and confidence, that is, when you know you've put in the work for whatever it is that you value, and you know what you're capable of, then those aren't just wishful thinking, they are your standards. So there's a huge difference between expecting things because you want them and expecting things because they are backed up by real effort, genuine self-belief, and true confidence. For example, you expect to win a race, but it comes from a place of true self-belief and confidence, then I think that's great, because you can only have genuine self-belief and confidence if it came from a place of real effort. So yeah, don't let expectations ruin your happiness, but don't be afraid to set high expectations for yourself when you know they are rooted in true self-belief and confidence. So the second lesson is that taking care of your body is taking care of your mental health. So the secret to unlocking your overall health, which is your physical health and mental health. Let's talk about spiritual health a bit later. So the secret to unlocking your overall health begins with your body. Now let me break that down for you. When I say your body, taking care of your body, it means exercise, diet, and sleep. Now I know when I say it like this, it feels so obvious. These are things that you guys probably hear every day, everywhere in social media. But like I said in my highlight section, certain things just started to make sense to me on a deeper level, like these realizations, these thoughts. So I want to address this in my video so I can look back and see, for myself what it is that I actually started valuing at this stage of my life. But yeah, taking care of your body, which is exercise, diet, and sleep, can significantly boost your overall health, because a rise in physical health is a rise in mental health. And there's also another thing that I want to mention. I know I'm talking about all this health stuff, but one thing you need to know is that I'm not the most healthiest person out there. I'm not the most perfect person out there. There are days, I like to order food in. There are days that I sleep very late. There are days I simply don't want to exercise, and I feel like those things are just okay. But right now it's I know these things. I'm more cautious. I know what to do. I want to learn more about these things, right? So I can apply it to my life. But my point is, I'm grateful for the knowledge that I have, but I don't want to be a perfectionist. That's my point. Yeah, so additionally, there's another thing that I want to mention, which is spirituality. So if you do something for your spiritual health along with your physical and mental health, then I think you're significantly boosting your overall well-being. Now, I'm not the most spiritual person out there, so I don't want to dive too deep into it. And when I say spirituality, right, so this is something that like I've misunderstood for a long time growing up. So when I say spirituality, I don't mean anything related to God or religion, nothing like that. Here's what I understood about spirituality, or how I see spirituality. So spirituality basically means connecting with your inner self or your inner spirit. So this doesn't have to be related to God or any religion all the time, you know. So what I understood is that you can connect with your inner spirit through, you know, meditation. It could be spending time in the nature. It could be it could just be simply sitting alone as well, or it could be for a lot of people, for majority of the people, it's praying, which makes total sense, right? It helps them connect with their inner self. And it could also be talking to people who helps you connect with your inner self. So these are like the people who you value, or the people who matter a lot in your life. So these are like things that you can do to, you know, connect with your inner spirit. But yeah, like I said earlier, I don't want to dive too deep into the whole spirituality thing, because I haven't experienced it much. I don't have enough experience to talk too much about it, because, you know, I only started doing meditation after I came to Australia. I just do meditation like 5 or 10 minutes a day. So once I have like enough experience to talk about it, I will address it. But yeah, as of now, I know that spirituality is actually important for everyone's well-being, or at least I value it. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go to my university. I have a class in like 30 minutes. So for the third lesson, I'll explain after the class, because there's quite a bit to explain, and I'll explain through a diagram or something. Yeah, and I think this is like the most important realization that I've had recently. So yeah. Now the next lesson that I want to share with you guys is about fear. Additionally, I want to link this to another lesson about this light thing. So it's about embracing yourself, embracing the light, and embracing the truth. But we'll come to the light theory after we talk about fear. So I think I found the way to finding all the answers that we're looking for, and it's fear. I feel like whatever it is that everyone wants, all the answers that we are looking for, it's all behind the doors of fear. Once you walk through that door, once you walk through the fire, that's where you'll find it. That's where you find all your answers, and that's where the real transformation happens. So a couple of weeks ago is when I had this surge of realizations, and at the same time I happened to get exposed to these online content where I could relate my realizations to, and that is when I was able to make linkages out of my realizations. My realization was mostly about fear and this embracing the light thing. So when I had these surge of realizations, I happened to watch this reel. It was a podcast where Chase Hughes was asked about the best advice he was given, and he said something about how if you open any ancient text, let it be the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, or the Torah, there's this one common thing that you'll find in all of them, and that's fear. Do not fear. So after I heard this, it completely blew my mind at that time. Although face your fears was something that I've constantly heard other people say, but ever since then, after it made sense to me on a deeper level, almost every time I heard these I watched these motivational content or motivational quote, or even if I heard these successful people, give advice online and social media, I realized that almost all of them are talking about the same thing, and that's fear. They're talking about how it's fear that transformed them completely into the person they are today, and without facing fear, they're not who they are. So at the time, it completely blew my mind, and then I just kept thinking more and more about it. And then there's this light theory. So I had this realization where if you embrace yourself, if you show the world who you are, everything else in your life will start aligning. And to show the world who you are, to show the truth, it comes with facing your fear. So I had this realization pretty much the same time I had the realization about fear. So it was like a mixed thing. I was just trying to make linkages, trying to make sense out of it. However, at the time, I didn't have this clear picture about the whole light thing. There was lack of clarity in it. So again, I happened to watch this reel. It was movie scenes from these two movies, Coach Carter and Aquila and the Bee. So they talk about this deepest fear thing. The quote is actually from a book by Mary Ann Williamson. So when I heard the quote or read the quote, it just blew my mind. It was like, damn, that's what I'm thinking, It's so beautifully said, it's so beautifully presented. So then what I did is I tried to, make more sense out of these realizations, more linkages, and I don't know if I'm allowed to post the video here, but I think it's okay because it's not like I'm famous yet. So watch the video.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate.
Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us.
We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be?
It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine,
we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same.
As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
What does it mean?
That I'm not supposed to be afraid.
Afraid of what?
Afraid of me.
So that was the video that gave me better clarity of these two linkages of fear and light, or truth, or whatever. So I think I want to draw a diagram to help you guys understand what was going on in my head and how I chose to analyze and break down these realizations. I want to present it to you guys in a way it makes sense to you guys. I want you guys to make sense out of it. I want you guys to understand what's going on. And I just think if I draw it out, there's a clearer picture in your head about what I'm talking about. So So then there's this light, and there's light within everyone. You can assume this light to be whatever you want. Let's say soul, purpose, inner self, whatever. But let's just call it light. So what is the point of this light? What do we do with this light? So the main purpose of this light is to be embraced. It is embraced by showing the world who you are, being your true authentic self, being your true unapologetic self. That is the main purpose of this light. But you see, there's a problem. The problem with this generation is that for most people, the light is dimmed or forgotten. I choose to believe that no matter what situation you are in, there is always a light within you. But anyways, let's analyze why the light is dimmed or forgotten in majority of the people. Now, the first factor is society. From a young age, for majority of people's environment, or at least the environment that I grew up in, we are told to fit in and that certain things are not possible and we shouldn't waste our time chasing behind the impossible. So then what happens to people in situations like this is that people actually start to believe these things, and therefore their shining youthful light starts to dim as they grow older because they chose to trade their uniqueness for society's approval. The second factor causing the light to dim is fear. Now that you live based on society's approval, you start to fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being alone, or fear of disappointing others. And for majority of the people, there is something inside them that is begging to grow, to create, to change and be embraced. The light is still there. It's just buried under all the what ifs and the opinions of the society. The next factor is rejection. Now let's say for the first time, you actually break the cycle of what ifs and just take all the risk to face your fears. What happens? You try to shine your light, speak your truth, show your passion, show the world who you are. In return, what do you get? You get hurt and rejected. Maybe you were laughed at, maybe you were ignored, maybe people called you cringe, and maybe some people, especially the people closest to you, they might have convinced you that whatever you're doing is unrealistic and stupid. And basically, you just allowed others to mess with your spirit, and now you've learned to hide. Hiding to protect your feelings, your emotions, and therefore, this hiding becomes a habit. So all these fears come together to cause disconnection from your purpose. So this is when you're just flowing through life, maybe with a lot of noise around you and so much pressure. You don't even ask yourself what it is that you actually enjoy. You forget that you have a deeper reason for being here. There's this saying that I heard somewhere. When there is a small spark, you pour petrol into it so they light up to shine, and you don't pour water to dim it. So these three factors over here, society, fear, rejection, they are the water to dim your light. So now let's explore what the petrol it is that we can use to shine the dimmed light or make it stronger. So what are some factors that can help embrace our light and help you find and be your true and unapologetic self? So the first factor is spirituality. We have to understand that the light comes from within. This could be through meditation, prayer, like I mentioned earlier. It could be journaling as well, or even simply sitting in silence. So it's important to connect with your inner self, because the more you listen to your inner voice, the more your truth becomes louder than the noise of the world. Additionally, by listening to your inner voice, you are able to build beliefs that align with your authentic self. Because for example, your belief and my belief about things could be different. You might have a way of achieving something. You might have a way of doing something, and I might have a different way of doing something. Your way works for you, my way works for me. So there isn't anything wrong. We're just being our authentic self. We just build beliefs accordingly. So the next factor is fear. Face your fears with courage. When there is fear, there is courage. You have to understand that people will always have something to say, but one of the most important way to find your truth is through fear. And by facing your fears, that's where the transformation happens. And the third factor is follow your curiosity and explore. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to have everything figured out. When you feel a pull towards something, take action, chase it. Just follow whatever makes you feel alive. By engaging in these things and exploring, your light just keeps growing stronger, even if a particular path never became your career or passion. Because in that process, by exploring new things, you would have learned many lessons along the way. But as you keep exploring, you will eventually find your purpose. So if you don't explore and experience new things, if you don't follow your curiosity, it's gonna be difficult finding your purpose, is what I believe. So by practicing these three things, you will have a deeper connection with yourself. You will be able to express yourself unapologetically, and therefore your light will become brighter and stronger. So one thing you need to understand about the whole process is that in this process, we liberate ourselves, and then our presence automatically liberates others, like how it was mentioned in that quote. So as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously let others do the same. So it basically means you don't have to help anyone or fix anyone. You just gotta find your light, be your authentic self, and embrace it. And by doing that, simply your presence will help others find theirs. So yeah, that's everything about the whole light theory or realization of mine. I know in the future I will modify this and make changes as I learn more things through my personal experiences and observations. But yeah, this is my understanding of fear and inner light or spirit at age 20.
Hold me in your arms. I know this wouldn't last. I know I shouldn't feel safe, but I do. Hearing you don't care, I'm out of view. What would you choose if there wasn't a plan? What would you do if I spun round and round? You would never tell me what you knew.
So yeah, that was it. That was my day. I mean, I had psychology tutorial class in the morning, and then I roamed around university for a bit, and then I came back to my room. I had some food, and then I took a nap, and now I'm here. I mean, nothing special really. I mean, now I'm 20. Yeah. There's actually one thing I forgot to mention in my highlight section. So around last year, July, I injured my leg. I got my ACL and MCL sprained. So this was because of long distance running actually. So what happened is right after school, I had plenty of time. So the thing is I really like running, right? So in school, I never really put a lot of time into it. However, after school, it's like I have plenty of time. So it's like I'm gonna go all out in that. And I just got a bit excited. So then I was logging about 40 to 50 kilometers a week. But the problem is, you see, I was logging that much distance a week on average with no strength training and a very poor diet. So the thing is, I never really like ran that much or like with that intensity before. So then suddenly when I, put so much effort, my leg couldn't handle it. That's how I got my leg injured. I didn't know about this injury until 4-5 months later. I mean, I knew like it was hurting and then, it's something I need to worry about. But I ran 2 races with this injury. I ran 2 5K races because I knew after like a point that, okay, this might be serious. I need to see a doctor. But I still wanted to run these 2 races. So then after the race, when I consulted this doctor, he asked me to, do an MRI scan. That's when I found out about my injuries. So yeah, and then basically the doctor just asked me to chill out. No, he asked me to do physio. He asked me to like stop running for a while, strengthen my leg, and then start running again. But the thing is, I didn't even do physio properly. I was not consistent at all. I did it for like once every week for the first 3 weeks, and then I just stopped running. So my leg never really like recovered. I just felt no pain because I never ran or put any pressure in my leg. But after I came to Australia, about last month, April beginning, I started running again. So then I started small. I was like, okay, there's no pain. First day I ran 5, then I ran 7, then I ran 8. So it went like that. So then there was this one day I ran 17 kilometers. So this was after I ran 10 kilometers. I ran 3 kilometers in the morning, and then in the afternoon I was like, shit, I wanna run. It was good. The morning run was good. I want to run again. So then in the evening, I ran another 14 kilometers. Because of my overexcitement, I started to feel the pain again. Not the proper pain, but the next day after the 17 kilometer, I did interval training. So during like the fast interval, I felt the exact same pain in the exact same spot. Then I realized, okay, you know what? I need to actually chill out. So in that moment, I was very discouraged. But after that, I seriously started doing the physio properly. And yeah, so I'm really recovering now because, I want to run again. I want to be able to do sport, go to the gym and all that shit. So yeah. I mean, it was not really important to mention it here, but I mean, I don't know, it'd be like nice to look back at, I guess. Some random small information. I mean, it's really because I never had serious injuries ever in my life before. So before I end this video, I actually want to talk about where I see myself in the next few years, I guess. So before coming to Australia, I knew that the first semester would be hard, but in reality, it was actually harder than I thought. So from the next semester onwards, I hope to, talk to more people, start socializing with people a bit more. And by that, I don't mean like jumping into random friend groups, but just putting more effort into, talking to people and attending more events, I guess. So yeah, that's for my social life. Yeah, and I hope to develop my skills with this whole videography, editing and all that stuff because I want to make content. I want to make better content and present it more creatively here. So I just hope to make more videos where I share my experiences, thoughts, realizations, or wisdoms, if you want to call it, with all of you guys over here. And for my future self, I guess. So basically just real talk about what's going on in my life and real talk about my experiences and the lessons that I learn along the way. And I really want to build some kind of audience for these kind of videos, right? I mean, even if I have no audience, it's alright because it doesn't change the fact that I love documenting stuff and I'm not just gonna stop because nobody cares about my videos. At the end of the day, I care. So I believe that's what matters the most. That's why I'm not gonna stop. I'm just gonna keep doing what I like. So yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes. And additionally, this is something that I fear, right? Where I get to, openly talk about my opinions without fearing anyone's judgment. And then filming in public or talking in public and, people wondering what I'm doing. I care so much about, what people think about me, people trying to convince me. See, these are things that I fear. These are things that's like trying to stop me, right? So that's why like I want to do it. Like I don't care about the external factors anymore. Basically everything we talked about earlier, like this fear thing, just jump into the fire. So I'm basically just jumping into the fire. But the thing is, I'm taking step by step, taking one step at a time into the fire. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it makes sense. But yeah, I'm still like I'm trying to face my fears. So I don't really give a shit about the external factors anymore. I know what I want, so I'm gonna just go after it. And another thing is that I get to document this live and I get to put it out there. So you guys can see the growth, see the live transformation that happens when I face my fears. So hopefully you guys get convinced to, face your fears as well. And hopefully my theory about this light and fear start to make sense eventually. Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is I want to improve my content and basically prioritize content creation a bit more because I realize I like this. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I want to try out new things as well. So recently I gained interest for MMA. I have absolutely no clue about MMA training, but I for sure want to try it out sometime in the future. So yeah, so just trying out new things, so we'll see where it goes. But as of right now, I'm a nobody. I have no clue about MMA, but I for sure want to step into an MMA gym and try it out. But I don't know for sure if I'll do it, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. What else? Oh, also, I don't really see myself being in Brisbane after like 5 years because I think I'm really passionate about the whole psychology thing. So I want to do post-graduation and PhD in a better university. And PhD is if I still want to do a PhD at that time. As of right now, I want to do it. I hopefully still want to do PhD when I get to post-graduation, when I'm doing my master's. But anyways, I know I am exactly where I need to be right now. So we'll see what the future holds for me. Yeah, and I don't think there's anything else. There are so many other things. If I keep talking, I won't stop. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.